My name is Jeremy Tang. I'm one of the co-founders of Shark Indicators, and I'm just really like to welcome everybody here. And really glad you could take your time out of the day to listen to us. With me here as well is Zach White. How are you doing, Zach? Okay, looks like your mic might be muted there, so give that another shot.
It goes. Thanks. Yeah, it's so many things going on all at once, trying to get my webcam turned on here.
Okay.
So good. So
While I'm out in space, looks like you're stuck in an office. I
that's
apologize for
right.
that.
Yep. So one with the little more conservative background there. So
Yeah, originally he was in a beach, and then I thought, that's gonna look kind of weird. Our office has got one window out facing the beach, and the other side
right.
on the edge of space, which makes perfect sense in a virtual environment. So, anyways, we did a webinar a couple weeks ago in January with NinjaTrader dealing with backtesting, and it went over really well, and it was actually quite a popular topic. And so we thought what would be really great is to sort of do a little bit of a deeper dive into backtesting. And really the hook was to get everybody here was to state how much backtesting sucks. Now, we don't really think that. I mean, obviously, but those of you that may have tried backtesting in the past, perhaps without any sort of assistive tools like what we have to offer, probably agree with that. And so actually, just maybe before I continue, how many of you guys in this room have actually tried to backtest your trade system, or or do backtesting on a regular basis? Okay, so yeah, we've got a couple people here that certainly have done it.
Many times. That's good
Yeah,
to hear,
many
Dave.
times. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Manual. Wow.
Dave's a
Everybody's doing it
regular in our
manually.
workshop.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a handful of people have certainly said they have, which actually is quite impressive. Generally speaking, the average retail trader doesn't do backtesting because it's just so damn tedious. And actually, let me get into that, because there's really only kind of two ways to do it. The first way is, as I believe Henny has sort of mentioned, is the old-fashioned manual way, and that really entails taking up a chart, writing down your system rules and kind of on the side or something like that, and then marking your chart up and figuring out where the entry points are going to be. And then the really challenging part beyond the entry points is actually figuring out how the stop losses and the profit targets are going to behave and where they're going to be hit. And then when you finally figure that out, tabulating all those results in an Excel spreadsheet. And as you can imagine, that's an extremely time-consuming process. In fact, so time-consuming that the majority of traders, as you would imagine, don't do this sort of thing. It's just really, really tedious. And of course, that's just the beginning, because no one really hits their system, like their trading system, on the first crack at the can. It's going to take many kind of iterations and little tweaks and whatnot, and there's so many variables that you can adjust before you finally come up with something that fits your risk appetite, as well as your what you figure is worth trading. So obviously the question now is, like, what do you do? Obviously we have computers. Computers are great at crunching numbers, so why not get a computer to do it? Well, if you really thought about it, like, actually, just for those of you that don't do the backtesting, I want you to think for just a minute, like, what do you think you actually need to get a computer to backtest? And I don't mean just the software and whatnot. I mean, I'm assuming pretty much the majority of you guys that are in here use NinjaTrader and are somewhat aware that it does have backtesting capabilities, right? But if you really think about it, you need to tell the computer when you're going to get in, right? And how those orders are going to be submitted and how they're going to be managed over time. So in reality, actually, what you're looking at here is a full-blown auto trader. And a full-blown auto trader, isn't, I'll just submit, is not really easy to create from scratch. You got to be a pretty sophisticated coder to be able to do that. And even sophisticated coders having the ability to build an auto trader, we're looking at spending a lot of time debugging, and then you're still doing that iterative cycle as well, and you're worried about a lot more things than just building your auto trading system. At this point, you're also worried about the how stable your system may be and how stable your code is and that sort of thing. So that's really where we came in. This has been sort of our company mission, is to provide tools to traders like yourself to be able to pull stuff like this off with relative ease. And to do this, we actually have two of our flagship products that work really tightly integrated with each other, that enable you to create systems without writing a single line of code, that will enable you to actually backtest. And so if you follow the logic here, that also means that you can actually use these two pieces of software together to actually specify your own custom trading system that's auto tradable. Not that you have to do it that way, you just can do it that way, right? Our software is often used for discretionary trading more often than not. However, again, backtesting, you do need to actually specify all those minute details to the computer, i.e., you do need basically an auto trader. So NinjaTrader is basically broken up into two main categories in terms of add-ons, if you will. Indicators, and that's what Bloodhound is. It's basically a logic engine, allows you to describe entry signals or just trigger signals or any kind of signal using kind of a node logic, and that's, you're able to do that without having to write a single line of code. And if you plug those entry signals into Blackbird, which is our strategy component, and the strategy allows NinjaTrader to take those signals and then enter the actual orders, which are submitted to the broker, and then manage those orders over a certain time frame or the life of the trade. So it's really the combination of these two pieces of software that allow you to very, very quickly put this all together. And actually, what we're going to do right now is show you how quick and easy this is to do, and like much faster than, say, coding it from scratch. Okay, so something that you could put together and you're going to see with your own eyes within like 20 minutes would take a very sophisticated coder. Like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been coding for 20 years, I should say, but I've been coding for NinjaTrader specifically for the last approximately 10 years. And even if I were to try to beat someone like, say, Zach, building a system straight out from scratch, there's no way in hell I'd be able to beat him in terms of creating a trade system, coding it up from scratch, but in the time that Zach would be able to put together. So he's found like a trading system on YouTube, and actually you should see his screen now, and I'll just pass the torch over to him, and he can describe exactly what we're going to build here today.
All right. Yep. So for those of you who are new to Bloodhound, yeah, I'm kind of going to walk you through kind of a typical, trader's journey here, of finding an idea, something that's tradable. When you first get into trading, your first thought is, well, how do I know when to buy and sell? And then you learn about all these trading ideas out there on the internet, nowadays. So the internet has definitely changed a lot of things, right, in our lives. So, and this is one of the systems here that I kind of randomly discovered on the internet. And actually, in previous webinars, I've shown at least one or two other systems here from Trader DNA. They have a YouTube channel here. And so here's another one, right? The CCI system here, pretty straightforward. So as Jeremy kind of explained here, right, you have an EMA or a moving average, as kind of a trend filter, right? So price needs to be below the moving average to take shorts, or price needs to be above the moving average in order to take longs, right? And then the two CCIs are what trigger, going long or going short there. So I'm going to show you how quickly and easily you can build this system here within NinjaTrader, within our Bloodhound indicator, and then we'll back test it in Blackbird, as Jeremy was explaining there earlier. So let's minimize that. So now, again, my chart should look pretty similar to that one, right? I have my EMA and my two CCIs here on the chart. Let me kind of slide that over a little bit. All right, so let me get Bloodhound open. And so this is definitely the most unique indicator out there on all trading platforms, as far as we're aware of, where it uses nodes here to build a system here. So you don't have to learn to code here. So the only thing you do got to learn is just to think a little bit logically, right? But you're probably already doing that, when you're evaluating trading systems. So let's start. I'm going to start here with something simple here, which let's identify when price, and that this specifically, we use the term price or market very loosely. But in this case, we're going to look to see when the closing price of the bar, the closing price, is either above or below that moving average there, right? So we're comparing price to that moving average. So I'm going to grab a comparison solver so we can do that comparison, right? So, and let's give this a name here. So I'm going to make the system as nice and tidy as possible, because we're going to make this available to download after the webinar here. All right, so we're comparing the close of the bar, right, to the EMA 34. So our first input is going to be price, and it's the closing price. And our second input here is going to be the EMA. So let's open that up here. All right, and so what I open up is a indicator selector window. And this again is what makes Bloodhound so unique compared to anything out there. And you can see, right, you can see every NinjaTrader indicator, right, that's installed here. And even some third-party ones, right? So I have a few lizard indicator from lizardtrader.com. I have some of their indicators as well. So you can even use third-party indicators.
Yeah, some of you guys are probably from Futures.io, and they have a bunch of indicators you can download for free. Certainly, if you install those indicators and they happen to spit out the plots, you can also use those as well.
Yeah. So that is the requirement, right? Is that your indicator needs to have a plot, or what's called like a data series, right? And it needs to output its information so that it's readable. So not all indicators do that, but the vast majority do. So there's my EMA. So now I just need to make it a 34 period, and we're done. So that's it. I just set up this comparison solver. And so now on my chart, we can quickly and instantly see, right, when price is above the EMA, we're getting a green or long, right? So the green signifies a long condition, or grab another one here, right? If the close is below that EMA, then we're getting a red, right? And red is usually coincides with going short, right? So there we go. So there's our, there's that EMA trend filter from that system. So now we need to look for the EMA crossovers here. So I've got a couple of them marked on the chart here, right? So we're looking for that CCI to cross the zero line, right? So we're looking for a crossover. So, as you might expect, we need a crossover solver to look for that kind of condition or situation. And so again, let's give this a name here. So this will be the CCI 25 period, right? Crossing over, you could say, you could be looking for the CCI to cross over maybe the 100 or the negative 100 value, but in this case, it's just simply looking, for the zero line there, or the zero value. So let's change our input to the CCI indicator. And this is something here that's new with Bloodhound version 2, is you now have a search box here, which makes finding your indicators so much faster and so much easier. So I kind of took to that like a duck takes to water. All right, so there's our CCI. And so input B here, right? That's that zero value or a fixed value, which is zero. And instantly, right, without having to write any code, I can see on the chart my results there, right? So every time the cyan CCI crosses that zero line, right, I can see the cross ups are green, the cross downs are red, right? Pretty straightforward. So we're done with that already. So now something else that's new with Bloodhound version 2 is I can now copy a node that I've made and I can paste it on the board, right? And so with this new crossover node here, I can now adjust it so that it's looking at the CCI 50 period there. So now I just need to go into my indicator and adjust that period to the 50 period, and I'm done. So it just kind of saved me a little bit of time there of having to set up a new solver. So now we can see on the chart again, whenever the darker blue line CCI crosses that zero, right, we're getting all those cross ups and cross down, you know, and we call these racing stripes. So way back in the beginning, we had this trading buddy that kind of coined the phrase racing stripes. We had no idea what to call these things.
Yeah, he had a kind of a southern accent, I remember, and he's
he was a good old southern boy.
What are these things? These racing stripes you call?
Right, right. He had a
that
good
was like
name for everything.
10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just kind of stuck. It's calling them racing stripes. So, yeah, I think he actually was a kind of like a part-time race car driver as a hobby. I think
maybe
a side hobby. I think that's how he kind of came up with the name. So, all right. So the next thing is, right, we need both of these CCIs to cross that zero line. So we're going to use an AND node here because we need the CCI 25 and the CCI 50 to cross that zero line. And when we combine it together, right? All right, so we can see that some of these crossovers have been stripped out, right? So this one here, this cross down, we can see that those CCIs crossed exactly on the same bar. That was kept, but we can also see that quite often those two CCIs, because right, one's fast, one's slow, they don't cross exactly on the same bar, right? There's a couple of bars of separation between them. So to account for that, you know, we have this look back period. And so we can kind of increase that look back period there and give these bars or give these CCIs a couple of extra bars to cross over, right? And so now, so there we go. So those two, you know, didn't cross over exactly the same. Obviously that one didn't. We're still missing this one. So this one, it looks like there's about
4 bars. Yeah.
4 bars of separation. Yeah, so let's just add one more bar to the faster CCI. So this is CCI 25. And there we go. So now we have that cross up signal there, right? So you can go in there and, the video on this system doesn't, unfortunately, this is kind of one of the details that they kind of leave out here, which is, how much separation is good or bad between these, so you can kind of fine tune that yourself and make that decision. So
yeah, but you see how quickly and easy that is with Bloodhound. Literally, he was just making a couple tweaks, and then instantly you could see the results on the chart in terms of how that affects the signals.
Yeah. And so the next thing, that if you're really astute here, and you notice that quite often we get several signals, right? We get several bars with signals. And usually we like to see things kind of nice and clean and neat. So if we want to clean up those signals here, we can add, and actually let me zoom out here a tad bit. We can add what's called a function node here. And we want a signal blocker, right? Because we want to block those extra signals, that happen after the fact. And so with the signal blocker, now we have a nice clean signal on one bar only. So we kind of cleaned up those signals there. And now the last step is, remember, we need to add in our trend filter, right? That price versus the EMA on the chart here. So once we connect that in, and let's see, yeah, it did clean up some stuff over here. actually, let's disconnect that again. So yeah, there was a couple of signals right there that disappeared. So
Yeah, a little bit of a filter. Yeah.
yeah. And so now we can give this, what I like to call the eyeball test. Right now that you have these easy to see and read signals, you can now kind of scan through your chart. So obviously that looked like a good short there.
Mhm.
That looked like a good long there. That short, well, wasn't as good as before, but it looked like you could pull a little bit of profit. That long, that long did not look good. That long, maybe. That short, probably not.
Yeah, you can see we're getting into a lot of chop here, though.
Yep.
A lot of chop.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
a lot of chop there.
Mhm.
So let's kind of take this one step further, which, this system here, obviously, we're seeing signals 24 hours a day, right? 24/7 here, or well, 24/5. And quite often what you'll hear about on Forex trading systems is that you really want to keep your trading focused on the most active Forex trading times, which is usually when two countries' banking hours overlap, right? So the London banking hours and the New York banking hours, that overlap of those 4 hours is the most active and best trading times for Forex. And then secondarily, it would be Japan and Europe, or Japan and London. So here, let's go and let's rename this. So let's rename this, 24-hour, since this is basically signals on a 24-hour period. And hold on, man, let me get that back in there again. There we go, 24 hours. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this system here. So another nice benefit of Bloodhound version 2 is you can copy these systems and paste them into a new one here. And so this new, think of it as like an iteration of the same main system, right? The CCI crossover is the main system, but I'm going to make a subtle tweak to it. And so before I make that tweak here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to restrict these signals to the London, and I'm just going to say UK for short, the London and New York trading hours. So I'll just say UK and US hours for short, like that. And so to restrict these signals, right, to block the signals that are outside of that London and New York hours, I'm going to use a time session solver here, right? So this solver here allows you to kind of restrict those signals to a specific time of day. So in setting this up here, actually, let's give this a name, right? So let's call this London and New York hours. There we go. All right. So to build that trading session, right, we're going to open up this custom scheduler here, the scheduling window here. You can see it's got, every day of the week, and it's got these blocks of time here. So let's see, let's set the time zone first before I get going here. So let's set it to Eastern time. And so New York time, that trading hours starts at 8 a.m. And then goes to noon, to about noonish there. And so I can just quickly kind of create these, right, these blocks of time here that we want to see those trade signals. Just go through there for every day of the week I want, like so, and maybe, once you kind of get familiar with the system, you might realize that some systems, you may like Forex. I'm never traded Forex, so I don't know, but I could imagine that maybe on a Friday afternoon, things might begin to kind of peter off a little early, so maybe you might want to block that last hour on a Friday. Just throwing that out there. That's just, obviously you can customize these hours, these times of the day there. So, but I'll just leave it, 8 to 12 Monday through Friday. And so with that, now we can see on the chart right here, right, those blocks of time. And again, this is a 1 hour chart. So that would be 4 bars, right? So a 4 hour period of time. And we can see that there on the chart. So now, if I connect in the main signals, and then let's shrink up the chart a little bit here so we can see all that. So now when I connect this in there, we can see a lot of those overnight signals go away, right? So it really kind of filtered things out quite a bit there, right? So you can imagine that this 24-hour signals, you're probably gonna get killed in all the chop there. You know, so the eyeball test is already telling you, and that's probably not tradable. But you know, the London, New York, well, maybe that looks like that has a little more hope to it.
Yeah.
So let's test both of them, right?
Let's find out.
Let's find out. We're going to test both of them because it's super quick and easy to do. So why not? All right, so let's close out Bloodhound. And so now it's time to get Blackbird up and running here. So let me just turn it on there. And let's open up the interface here.
Yeah, and again, so Zach was just working in Bloodhound, and that is the indicator. That's that's an indicator that is basically a logic engine that can help you generate signals. And now we're in Blackbird, which is our other product that helps you actually trade those signals and actually put the orders on.
Yeah. So you'll find Blackbird in the strategy window, because obviously it's a strategy. So, all right. So let's get this open here. And you can see that Blackbird has its own customized interface here. So you can design a system as you see fit. So, you know, so we're building an auto trader. As Jeremy explained, that's what you need to do backtesting is you need a full auto trader. And what's the first thing an auto trader needs? It needs entry signals, right? And, you know, and maybe even exit signals. So you could do that too. So we need to set up the entry signals at a bare minimum here. So obviously we're going to use, you know, the Bloodhound indicator, use its signals. But if you want to, you could use a third-party indicator. So if you do have a third-party indicator that provides trade signals, you know, that are readable within a strategy, then you can hook that into Bloodhound and kind of begin to do some back testing there. So that is, yeah. So we try and build our tools as flexible as possible. So we're not here to lock you into our ecosystem and restrict you, you know, like some other companies do. You know, we're here to build flexible tools that basically just expand upon further with more ease what NinjaTrader can do. So, all right, so let's get these Bloodhound signals set up in here. All right, so first thing I need to do is load in that Bloodhound file that I made, right? So all that work I did in Bloodhound, I saved it to a file here, and I just called it the YouTube CCI scalping system there. So there we go. So we have that Bloodhound system loaded in. And so the first thing we need to do is select our entry signals here. So you can see right there. Remember, I made a 24-hour period signal, and then I made the London and US, you know, hours signals there. So let's start with the 24-hour system here, and we'll start with that. So now the second step for building an auto trader for backtesting is to set up, you know, your entry and your exit orders. So that YouTube system didn't really explain what kind of entry. So, you know, that usually means just use a market entry, right? And then they also really didn't tell you what type of profit target to use. You know, the profit target was constantly adjusting and whatnot. So let's start with, say, like a 2 ATR profit target. We'll start with that.
And actually, you're just about to find out how important it is. Like, if you think that it's just a misconception we find that a lot of traders have is they think It's just the entry signals that's where they're going to put all their work in, and that's what makes makes or break a trading system. You're going to find out very quickly when you start backtesting that is not the case at all. You can influence a tremendous amount of your profit, your profit or loss, just by having different exits, different exit orders.
Yep. Yep. So the one thing though, that YouTube system explained was the stop loss. So yeah, to kind of look at the chart here. So you see this long signal right here in the middle. You know, it said basically use the recent low price, you know, for a long signal, or the recent high price, you know, for a short signal. You know, so they are kind of using some localized, you know, support resistance high and low points there. And so when setting up our stop loss here, yeah, let me kind of explain here. So yeah, this is what we call the quick list. So you can see, right, it has basically the most common types of stop losses out there that a trader might use, right? Either a tick-based stop loss, ATR-based, you know, maybe you are using, you know, bar low and high prices. The parabolic SAR is, you know, is the common stop loss indicator that comes with NinjaTrader, you know, or swing and high and low points there. And then we have some trailing iterations or trailing versions of those same types of stop losses there. And these are not hard coded. So these are just what we call a quick list, again, to get you started, and then you can go in and customize it. So let's say you want to use a tick-based stop loss, but you don't want to use 10 ticks. Maybe that's too tight, but you would start with the 10 tick, and then you could go in there, and then you can easily adjust it and make it a 20 tick stop loss like that, just by, you know, easily going in there and adjusting it, you know, to whatever needs, you know, your system needs there. So now it's a 20 tick stop loss, right? Like so. So, but we don't want that fixed tick stop loss. We want to use, right, the bar low and high prices here, as that Trader DNA system was alluding to here. So I'm going to start with that previous bar low and high from the quick list, but I do need to go in and make an adjustment here, right? Because that video says, you know, you're not just using the last bars low and high, but you want to look back a little bit. So let's look back at least 5 bars, a minimum of 5 bars. We're going to look back, and then we're going to use the minimum or the lowest low of the last 5 bars, like so. There we have it. And that was it. So that stop loss is already done, ready to go. And so at this point, I can click OK, and we're ready to start generating some backtest results here.
All right. Yeah, let's see some backtest results.
Yep. So the first thing you have to do is you always have to reload the chart to reinitialize the strategy so that the strategy can generate those new backtest results. So we're going to reload the chart.
Yeah, put the signals over there at the 24 hours. Is that what we're using there? Is it?
Let's see. Yeah, no, let me switch this here to the 24 hours. Yeah. So, but first, you might notice here that I have 2 bloodhounds, right? And that's because, you know, Blackbird is loading up its own iteration of bloodhound so we can get those signals. So I'm going to remove the first bloodhound off my chart because it's unnecessary, right? It's just kind of adds more, you know, clutter to the chart. So there. So now we just got the one bloodhound, you know, that's running inside of Blackbird. And then I also, from the top here, I made sure to select the signals. Actually, you know, we're testing.
Yeah, we're looking at 24 hours right now. Yeah.
Put back on the 24 hours. There we go. So, and let's see there.
All right, let's see that chop section there.
Yep. Well, first, let me take care of, let's see. Yeah, you might notice that sometimes if your backtest doesn't finish with the most recent trade, you'll see these historical or simulated orders here. So these aren't real orders. These are simulated so that it can finish the backtest. Because look, literally, oh, wow. Yeah. Look at this.
It just took a short, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last bar on my chart generated a short trade. And NinjaTrader wants to finish, or finalize the conclusion of this. And so it has, open exit orders, waiting there. So that's what those trade flags are there for. So, all right, so let's kind of squeeze this up a little bit and take a look here.
Yeah, look at that chop. All right, let's see how many trades we're taking.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, next thing is let's pull up NinjaTrader's backtest results here. So here's the strategy performance report. And we're going to pull up the historical ones. And look at that. There we go. So it lost about $3,000.
So what you're saying, the internet was wrong about making money.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine this old Forex system not making money nowadays.
Just
right?
beware, folks, before you trade something, like when you see on YouTube and they promise like amazing returns,
Yeah. Yeah. So, and let's see, one other thing here that I didn't take a look at is what contract size. Okay. Yeah. So I'm using a standard lot contract size there. Yeah. Okay. So just so we can, put this kind of in the correct context here of what Forex lot size was being back tested there.
Yeah. Immediately you can see that it took about 130 trades over what, a 6-month period.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So for some of you guys that may be excessive. For some of you guys, that's actually pretty reasonable. That's really up to you, obviously.
Yeah. I'm using NinjaTrader's free Forex data feed. And I believe you can download 6 months worth of minute data from their free Forex. And so that's what I'm using. So that's why I'm going back just 6 months, because I'm pretty sure that's as far as that data feed will go back there. So, yeah, and just real quickly here, let's look at the analysis here. So this was a break even until recently.
Yeah, and then recently it looks like maybe it's been getting through a lot of chop during that recent period there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, at least that's what it appears to be. Actually, go back to the this is just kind of the baseline analysis, but go back to the summary for a second. I just want to comment on the percent profitable versus the average winning versus average losing trades. Because generally speaking, you kind of have a spectrum when it comes to trade systems. Generally, you have these two different kinds. You have like these trend following trade systems, which are usually a little bit more risky, right? The percent profitability for those trend type systems is lower, but when you're right, you're really right. You're just clocking in a lot of money. So, but when you're wrong, you're most often wrong. But you're trying to take little losses, right? But when you ride long trends, so the people that like those kind of trade systems, they sort of bank on like sitting on really long runners, and they're okay with like little bits of losses here and there. On the other side of the spectrum is like kind of more the scalping style trade systems, and those are characterized by really high win percentages and usually a little bit more risk, because you're looking at wider stops. You're looking at basically being right more often, in terms of letting the trade play out in your favor until you hit your profit target typically, which sometimes means that you have a fairly wide stop, and then you're going to be stopping out for a pretty large loss. So you kind of want to play with those two. And when you think about it, actually Zach's going to actually we'll get into that a little bit later, but how we can sort of manipulate those two kind of variables. So
remember, this was the 24-hour signals here. So let's move to the London, New York hour signals there. And you'll notice that this system was called the CCI scalping system here. So we're going to find out, is it really good as a scalping system, or is it better as more of a trend trade type of system here? All right, so with Blackbird back open, let's go into our entry signals here and change it from the 24-hour signals to the London, New York, or UK, US signals there. Call it good, click it OK. And then let's go and reload the chart and generate some new backtest results. All right, so there we go. And let's pull up the strategy report there.
Okay.
And amazingly, that inked out a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the percent profitable there. So now it's around 50%, you know,
Mm-hmm.
give or take. So
Yeah, if you look at, I mean, in fact, you look at the average winning trade and average losing trade, it's almost the same. So you're looking almost at a 50-50, both percent profitable
yeah.
and a 50%. Yeah, exactly. So at this point, actually, though, you have something to work with, right? Because now you can really study the chart and you can think, well, how am I going to increase the average win and hopefully decrease the average loss? Well, one kind of easy way to do that is, without even manipulating the signals, is actually to manipulate your profit targets and your stops and how they behave. And so we're going to actually show you right now, like, how much difference can be made just by making those manipulations, and without even touching the entry signals. I think Larry's asking, way back, he sort of asked, should the setting for the look back period be determined by back testing? And he was talking kind of about when, remember, Zach was mucking around with the settings, the look back period and the entry signals. And so, obviously you can certainly do that. You can certainly change the look back period and try different results. And in fact, you could just switch that right now and run the test again and see the results. And so absolutely, you can certainly do that as well. But the point I want to make right now is we're going to muck around now with just the order management, and you can see like how much of a difference just doing just that little thing will make in your profitability.
Yeah, so to recap here, right, I started off with just a 2 ATR profit target here. So after all, this system was called the CCI scalping, so maybe 2 ATRs was a little too large. So since we got time here, maybe let's knock this down to 1 ATR and let's see what happens.
All right, so before we do that, like, what do you guys think is going to happen with the results just by tightening in the profit target?
All right, let's pull up the report. Nobody's willing to
say something. Okay, let's see what happens. We don't even know the answer. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I've guessed in my head was the percent profitability would increase quite a lot.
Yeah, look at that. Went up to 65% profitability.
That's right. So John says less stops will hit. Exactly. And that's kind of what we're seeing here.
But average winning trade is 200. Average losing is almost 500, right? So the winners are less than half of the losers. So mathematically, that turns any system into a loser. So so not a good idea. So this probably isn't really a scalping system. So let's go in here and let's increase our profit target to 3 ATRs. There we go, 3 ATRs. And let's reload again. Here we go. Pull up that performance report. And
that's pretty good.
Yeah, bingo. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, you're looking about half
$4,000.
50% profitable, and you got a higher average winning trade, and that's because the profit target obviously was extended further out than the stop loss in most cases.
We're still around 50%. I mean, plus or minus 2% is nothing. That's all in the ballpark there, right? So the big difference is the winners got a lot larger, and we haven't changed our stop loss, so the losers are staying the same, right? Obviously, we're just playing with one side of the market there, just to kind of keep this demo simple here.
I think showing the equity curve will be quite revealing in terms of what's actually going on.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So here's the question, guys.
Going in the right direction.
Let's just say you started trading this in August, right? And the first month, right off the bat, boom, you've lost $1,500. How likely do you think it'd be that you'd stick with the same system and trade it through? right? So
Right.
this is something
Yeah.
that, you know, like when you see this kind of stuff, you have to make a decision for yourself whether or not you can bear
Where
that
this
kind of
field.
loss without seeing
Yeah.
barely any profit. Can you hold it out until the system actually starts to turn in your favor, right? Because you got, it's easy to see on the graph like, wow, it looks great, you know, by February. But imagine yourself sitting there in August and you're doing this, and it's basically like early September, and you're just fighting back a $1,500 loss at this point, right? So that's trading for you.
All right, so let's keep going. So if 3 ATRs looks good, well, what about 4 ATRs? Maybe we
Yeah, let's push it.
grab a bigger winner out of
Yeah.
this.
And if you guys are wondering what an ATR, like what that all means, so ATR is average true range. That's just basically, essentially, it's the bar size. Okay, so it's very common for systems sometimes to just use ATRs as sort of a metric for. So it's kind of like saying, I want my profit target to be 3 bars sizes out. And what that enables you to do is when you're trading in a very volatile environment and those bars are pretty big, like you're not gonna, you know, get chopped, you know, stopped out from chop, right? So in a volatile environment, you kind of want to widen your stops a little bit. And conversely, in a little more quiet environment where the bars are smaller, you can afford to bring in your stops a little bit.
Yeah. So it looks like 4 ATRs was too greedy there, too much of a grab.
Mm-hmm.
So the percent profitable, was almost cut in half, dropped
You're
down.
hitting a lot of stops at this point, by the
Yeah,
looks of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
35%. The winners got larger, the losers stayed the same, but the percent profitable dropped quite a bit here.
All
So
right.
yeah,
Terry's saying, what, you haven't played with your stops yet? Okay, let's go ahead and try that next.
right.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's see here. Let's let's knock this back to down to 3. Well, actually, let's go with 3.5
Yeah.
ATRs there. Maybe somewhere in the middle there. Actually, I'll just do this real quick before we mess with the stop losses here. And let's just take a quick look, reload that, and I'll pull up those results there. And well, we
Not
got
bad.
back some more money.
Yeah.
Wasn't as good as the 3 ATR,
Yeah.
but and if we look at the analysis,
Yeah. Okay. Even worse in the beginning. That.
so
Yeah. But you know what? Why don't we leave that and take a look and see what happens if we, like, I got a challenge for you, Zach. Let's try something a little bit more fancy with the stop losses. Okay. So let's say we want to protect some profit, but let's kind of keep it open. But before the stops kind of move in, right? Let's like put it on, but then let's move it up after, say, 1 ATR of profit, 1 ATR movement of
yeah.
profit. And that way we're kind of keeping it open at the beginning, so that we're just kind of letting it pick a direction before we start to protect our profit.
So Blackbird has a really advanced trailing capability here, that we call trailing actions here. And you can see there's a bunch of different kind of conditions that you can look for that we have in here. And so if you want to wait for a certain amount of profit, then we could use the profit or loss or this interval here. And so in this case, we're going to use the profit or loss, right? And so that is our trigger to then move the stop loss, right? And you can see we could measure the profit in a number of different ways. We could look at the currency, ticks or points, or percent, but we're going to go with the ATR here. And let me synchronize the ATR periods there. And so there we go. So there's a 1 ATR profit here. So that's the trigger or the condition, right, that we're looking for, that then tells Blackbird, okay, now let's move that stop loss to break even. So
yeah, and now you can tell it anywhere you want to move it. So
and so what is break even, right? That's the entry price. right? Or the average entry price. So we'll just move it to the average entry price. So, all right, so with that, and let's see here, my profit target, that's right, it's still 3.5 ATRs.
Okay, let's see what
Good.
that does.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, I used to have long ago when I was learning this stuff, I had an instructor that he stood up in the front of the class, right? There was like hundreds of us in the room. And he said, I could give everyone in this class the exact same trade signals. I can give everyone the same trade signals and every one of you will have a different result in the end. And so his point was, again, that the order management was important, if not more important than the entry signals themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, surprisingly, this actually has the worst profitability percentage that we've seen so far, dropped down to 27. So the winners is pretty high. It's up there around 700. You know, so the winners are what, 2/3 of the losers. I'm sorry, 1 and 2/3 of the losers. So yeah, so
It's
surprisingly,
basically saying, like, though, if we're still probably a little too aggressive or tightening up a little too much at the stop. Yeah, that's basically a break-even system if you've ever seen one like that.
yeah. So we're back to the very beginning of a
Yeah.
break-even system there. All right, so
But perhaps you could actually you know, put a little offset on it so it's not so tight, you know.
So all right, so in the actions here, where we're moving that stop loss to break even, yeah, we can add an offset to keep that stop loss at a little bit of distance, give the market a little bit of breathing room here. So let's add, again, a 1 ATR stop loss there, offset. So there we go. So there's a 1 ATR offset to the break even. So it's actually break even minus 1 ATR.
Yeah.
So,
as you can see, that was just one order rule, right? There, he could put a couple other ones in there and just cascade them. So, like, for example, he could say, well, after 1 ATR profit, go to break even plus a little bit of an offset, give me a little bit of room. And then after maybe 2 ATRs of profit, do something else, tighten it up even a little bit more. Yeah, as you can see, the percent profitability does go up a bit,
right.
as you'd expect.
Yep, giving it a little bit of breathing room.
And you can see actually the average losing trade is actually lower. So
yeah, it did tighten up the losers.
Yeah.
So it's good from that standpoint. So let's see here. So let's try this real quick.
John's asking, why is it period 20? Well, that's really just, you know, Zach's just choosing essentially a number that's is matching the other ATRs in the system. There's no hard and fast rule or anything like that. Obviously, the longer your ATR period is going to be, the more of a sample size, I guess you could say, of how large that or small that bar is going to be is taken into consideration. How, you know, but if you want to take kind of a sample, essentially what it's saying is take a sample of the last 20 bars, give me the average bar size for that, right? So that's of course another thing you can also experiment with as well. There's as you're probably getting, you know, starting to think, there's almost an infinite number of variables that you could play around with.
Yeah. So not much difference here.
Yeah.
So let's go with something. Yeah, here we go. Let's go with this. Let's go.
Yeah, another strategy. Yeah, exactly. Start looking at the chart and take a look and see how you can capture the most profit. So that one hit a profit target up there. Yeah,
that sure did. Let's see here. Let's see. I had one way back here, I think.
Yeah, John says that, yeah, the ATR period 20, absolutely, it's just the number of bars averaged, exactly. The average distance from average size of the last 20 bars in this case.
There we go. This looks like a decent run here. So yeah, so let's play with that stop loss and turn it into a trailing stop loss and see what you know, see if that can do anything for us. So let's definitely make that. So if we're going to use a trailing stop loss to try and, you know, let the market run a little bit.
Yeah, in some cases,
here,
people actually just take the profit target right out. Then, you know, profit targets are typically
Yeah, we could definitely just take that profit target out like that.
Mhm.
And so now we have what's called a runner in the industry. So you just let your stop loss run. And so now for the stop loss, we need to create a trailing stop loss rule here. So let's see here. Let's also make some other adjustments here. I know we're making a lot of adjustments without
Yeah.
doing kind of proper iteration here, but let's wait for 2 ATRs of profit. And then, so we still have that 1 ATR offset for that. But let's go and create the trailing rule here. So this will be our trailer. That'll be our trailing there. And so our trailing.
Yeah. So guys, if you're starting to wonder, like we did rehearse a couple different things and try a couple combinations of things, but really we're just kind of playing around with the software on the fly here, trying different ideas as they come to our head. And this is really kind of the process we imagine a lot of our customers are going to have with their software, is really just really having fun with it, trying different things, looking at the chart, looking at the results, going back to the drawing board, plugging in some different numbers and different variables, inventing ideas in your head and then seeing how they work out. And that's really the beauty of this software is it lets you really try an unlimited possibility of different things. And we're always really excited when customers come to us and say, hey, can you do this? And we're like, whoa, we didn't even think that was, we didn't even think of something like that, right? So customers all the time come up with some really crazy stuff that we didn't even intend or even imagine.
All right, we're ready to test that trailing stop loss there.
Oh, okay. So that one got stopped out early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah. Too tight on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
see what happened here. Let's make sure. Let's see. Both of these start trailing at the same time. And 1 ATR. So
Maybe what do you got on the last one there? Move last 1 ATR. Is it like the last of the 5 bars in the high and the low, or is that what?
oh yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
I think no. So the
Yeah.
trailing is not
Oh,
using the
trailing by
last.
an ATR. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just trailing by 1 ATR. So
Yeah.
maybe that trailing, I don't know, is a little
Yeah.
too
Why don't we
tight.
try that
Let's-
high low thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. Okay, yeah, so keep it with the high low. All right, let's see here. So we want to use the low price.
Yeah. On the long trade, you want the, sorry, is it around? Yeah, you want the low.
Yep.
On the 5, yeah, and then the high, yeah.
So
There you go.
okay. Yep. So the trailing is using this same methodology as the initial stop loss, which is
Mm-hmm.
use the lowest low price of the last 5 bars. And then we are adding that 1 ATR offset from that, just to keep in line with that break even here that we built earlier. So, all right, let's go with that. Let's see what happens. Reload it.
All right. Drum roll. All right. That looks pretty good. It's not bad.
Oh, look, there we go.
Yeah.
So
That was
at least,
that was a big win there.
we totally optimized
Yeah.
it for this one trade. So,
Yeah.
so let's look at the bigger picture there.
Yeah.
And let's see what we got here. $900.
It's okay. Well, seems to be getting killed on the short
Yeah.
side. And that's another thing. You could even, perhaps that has something to do with it's in a bullish market in general. Like, that could be, it could be the main factor there for all, so it's one of those situations that if you want to just take out one side entirely and just be able to control, like, I just want long trades only because I know it's a bullish environment, or I just want short trades only because it's a bearish environment, you're able to do that as well too.
Yeah. And
that's not too bad. Yeah.
Right. One thing you may have noticed with all of these backtest results is, based on market conditions, just the raw market conditions and the raw entry signals of this, that it starts off, starts off weak in September and then has a really bullish, profitable run during the fall. And then come December, right? No matter what we do, come December and January, it just begins to bleed out money a little bit.
Mhm.
No matter how we iterated through the different profit targets and stop losses, so we can see that, this is kind of revealing some of the characteristics of the CCI, with the markets,
Mhm.
just in general. So,
It seems like pretty much every tweak we've made, we've seen a big downturn in December, and perhaps December being the holiday season might not have been a good month to trade in general, at least for a trend type system like.
yeah, there could be a
Yeah.
seasonality effect
Yeah.
with Forex that maybe December
Yeah.
is just not a good, maybe, people aren't, no, people travel locally, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
These are sort of things you uncover when you're
Right.
performing the back test. So
Maybe it has something
yeah.
to do with business spending affects the Forex market more than personal, travel and whatnot.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
But
not
no,
a Forex
yeah.
trader, so I've never dived into
I don't think anybody
understanding
can
that
definitively say,
level.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. I know why the Forex does this during this time. It's the market is so complex. Yeah.
So, well, we're actually at the 1 hour mark, Jeremy. So
Yeah.
yeah, let me let you wrap it up and then we
Sure.
can get to some Q&A there.
Okay. Absolutely. All right. Let me take the screen back for a second here. I'm just gonna wrap up and we'll get into Q&A here. All right. Cool. All right, Zach. Thank you so much for showing that. As you can see, there's a ton of different like little variables that you could tweak around with, everything from just the periods of individual indicators to ATR settings to, and then you saw a glimpse of like the trailing rules, and like I said, we're just barely scratching the surface. There's a lot to learn when it comes to our software. And so, given that, we want people to maximize the use of our software when they get it. So we actually focus a fair bit of our resources in our company to do that. So we've actually compiled over the years, literally hundreds of hours of videos. And Zach personally has written just, I don't even know, hundreds of pages of documentation with really nicely illustrated images and whatnot. That's all available on the website. We do also have unlimited email support, and that's available for customers and non-customers alike. And really, one of the biggest things that I want to emphasize is Zach actually runs a live workshop every week. 2 of them, in fact, Thursday and Friday, one for Bloodhound, one for Blackbird. And they're basically like a classroom style environment. Anybody's free to join. And you can log in and you can be like, hey, can you show me how to do this? And he'll go ahead and just build it out and answer your questions in a live environment. And that's a free resource. Again, a free resource for both customers and people trying out the software. We also have a pretty active Discord community. And finally, one-on-one training for those people that really kind of desire the white gloved approach. And I do want to say, with all of our software, we always offer 100% money back guarantee for satisfaction. If you're not happy with it within 30 days, 60, I can't remember. I'm sorry, guys. 30 days, we'll say right now, just to be safe. Absolutely, just say it's not for you, and we can absolutely refund the purchase, and there's no problem with that at all. We've been doing that since the inception of our company, and that's because we really stand by our product. Lastly, I will just direct you to the website, which shows you, which basically is where you would go to both purchase. But if you go to this address here, sharkindicators.com/backtest, what we plan on doing here is after the webinar is finished, just give us a little bit of time. Just put your name in there if you want to get a copy of those the templates that we just demonstrated. So you can play around with exactly what you just saw. yourself, and that's a great way to sort of, if it's the first time you've been using Blackbird or Bloodhound, that's a great way to just kind of get yourself started. So yeah, again, just go to our website and go to sharkindicators.com/backtest and put your name and your email in there. And as soon as those templates are ready, we'll email them to you. But if you want to go download our software, best thing to do is just go to our website, sharkindicators.com, press this button. There's a little bit of an intro video that just sort of summarizes what we talked about, the differences between our two main products, and then you can go ahead and download the trial and get started in our ecosystem. So that's basically all I had for the kind of promotional side of the webinar. So why don't we go ahead and start answering some questions, and we'll go from there. All right, what do we got here? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all,
Where do you want to start?
let me just say hi to the fella in Ukraine. I'm very impressed that you're here.
Yeah, no doubt.
and quite flattered. So
Yeah, I hope you're on the western side of the country.
Andrew. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, looks like a lot of these questions are coming into the chat window there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Well, yeah. So Justin's asking about the third-party indicators, and so yeah, you basically hit the nail on the head, as they say. Bloodhound and Blackbird both look into your NinjaTrader installation, and any of those indicators are installed on the system. It can see it, and they can pull that information and data out. And so what we mean, so somebody actually did, I think it was Larry, asked, what do you mean if the signals are readable? And I believe he said that when you were talking about the entry signals and using third-party indicators.
Yeah.
And so what the deal is with that is, like, in most indicators will actually spit out like data. It'll spit out like what's called a data series, or it'll spit out a plot, and you can use that plot. That's how NinjaTrader uses that information to pass on to other indicators. So as long as those indicators do that, which is the vast majority of them, you can read them in. So you might have a third-party indicator, maybe from Big Mike or something Futures.io it's called now. I'm one of the old school guys. I was in Big Mike's trading forum back when it was called Big Mike's trading forum, before he changed it to Futures.io. So if I say that and you're like, what the heck do you mean? That's what I mean. So Big Mike Trading it used to be called Big Mike Trading. It's now called Futures.io. It has a lot of third-party indicators in there, and some of them are actually indicators that give you trade signals, and you can certainly plug those in to Blackbird if that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah, so I have a screenshot up kind of showing the MACD, right? The MACD has 3 plots. So those plots are readable. They're designed to pass the indicator's information, both onto the chart, but those plots pass that information from one indicator to another indicator, right? So some of you probably have an indicator. Let me see if I can pull something up here. Let's see, the ADX VMA, ATR modified. Let's see if I can, I'm trying to find something from NinjaTrader. So it's pretty common for kind of a nicer, fancier indicator to use other indicators. So yeah, like the super trend, right? You can choose different indicators for its formula, right? So you can choose the double EMA, the regular EMA, the EHMA. I don't know what that is. That's a new one on me. Or the SMA, right? So this super trend is using other moving average formulas, right? But those other moving averages, they all have plots so that they can pass their moving average, calculated value onto the SMA, or I'm sorry, the super trend. Right. So that's kind of like
similar. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The difference between our technology and, say, something like the ANA super trend is, like, you notice, like, he's got a drop down. It's kind of hard coded.
It is absolutely hard coded. It's not.
Yeah. So
it is. Yeah.
In other words, like, if you install another indicator on your system, you'd not be able to plug it into the ANA super trend. And so that's kind of where we've taken a step further. Is like you can plug in literally any indicator into to Bloodhound or Blackbird, you'll see it. So it's all dynamic.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to find some other indicator that has a data series, but I'm
Okay,
not.
and while you do,
Yeah.
I'll answer Ben's question.
But
He's asking,
yeah.
how do I update my Bloodhound and Blackbird licenses to the latest version? So I do want to, I want to just go over the way the licensing work. Actually, if Keith is here,
You want me to pull that
yeah,
page up, Jeremy?
he might be able to. He's really good at answering because he answers that question every day. I don't know if he is.
I heard my name.
Ah, yes. Yeah, Ben is asking about the updating to the license, the latest license versions, and maybe I thought you could explain kind of how the licensing works and the maintenance period and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You with Bloodhound and Blackbird, you get a year of updates. So after that first year, you get to decide if you want to continue getting future updates, or if the version that's out when that ends, if you're happy with it, it'll just keep on working for you. As far as your particular license, just contact us, just shoot an email to support, which actually, Jeremy, if under the support menu at the top, you can see there's a contact us link at the bottom of the support menu. So just contact us through that. Just say, hey, just looking for information. Can I get updates for my license? When does it expire? That sort of thing. And we'll help you out. Just to get an idea, it's like the most that it would be if you own both products, it's $295 for another year. And which we consider fair considering how this is Jeremy's full-time job is updating the software. So it's definitely not your average, indicator, set it and forget it sort of thing. So, but if you're happy with whatever's out at the time, it'll keep on working.
Cool. All right. Seeing how long is the trial? It's 30 days. Justin is asking, does the software allow you to see your code? So this is not a code generator. I'll just state it's very different than NinjaTrader's strategy builder, which is a code generator. So this is designed to be a little more flexible in terms of, or I say not flexible, intuitive, in terms of it's a GUI interface, and the output is, well, there is no like code output. Everything is run within the software itself.
Here's a big one. Yeah. Optimization. So yeah.
We often get this question. And so let me just say, this is something that absolutely is on our development list. We at this moment, it's the biggest challenge for us is that just this an unlimited number of variables that can be optimized is not unlimited, but a large number, as you can imagine. Every single even a period within some sort of indicator to, I mean, if you just take a glance at the properties on some of these solvers, you'll see there's each solver has maybe 10, 15 settings to it. And that's just the entry or the signal generator, like not even talking about things like the order management side of things, which can also have a lot of things to optimize. So really the challenge is building an interface that easily allows the user to select which variable they want to modify. And at least so far, we haven't come up with a satisfactory solution to that yet. So really it's sort of, that it's more of a usability problem and at this point, and that's sort of step one. But when we kind of get there, which we do eventually plan on doing, so I'm not going to sit here and sort of promise any sort of timeline, because every time we do that, we shoot ourselves in the foot. But that's kind of where we are right now with it. So in the meantime, it is fairly straightforward to simply change a couple parameters around and then regenerate some results. That's basically a pretty fast way to do things manually as well.
I think kind of the simple way to understand it that I show people in the workshop when I get that question is NinjaTrader's optimizer. Actually, NinjaTrader itself, like we showed you earlier with the super trend indicator, right? Everything has to be hard coded. And so Bloodhound doesn't have anything hard coded, right? Bloodhound allows you to use whichever custom indicators you want. right? So there's no way to hard code every single indicator out there, especially when, you know, there's like a handful of new indicators a month coming out. So how can you hard code all that stuff into your system, you know, for the optimizer to be able to work? And then could you imagine having a setting for every possible indicator out there, you know, because it all has to be hard coded into the menu system, you know. And so then from that standpoint, it would make using the menu completely impossible, you know. But also from the main point, which is, you know, you just can't hard code every single indicator, you know, into what's called the property grid here to make optimization possible, you know. So that's really kind of the technical limitation here. But as Jeremy said, he does have some ideas to work around this. You know, it's just a matter of figuring it out. It's, you know, it always comes
actually,
down
this is a really interesting question.
So,
I want to talk about this one here. So actually, Terry's brought up GPT, which obviously is like all the craze right now in technology. And I guess there's some YouTubers that have sort of jumped on the bandwagon and are using GTP to generate script code to create trade systems. I'll just caution that it's just very early days. I've definitely seen some of the code that comes out of Chat GPT, and not all of it is correct. And I'll just say that. Well, I mean, from a computer science standpoint, I'm absolutely blown away with how good it is, but it'll never compare to, say, a human coder.
Probably the promise of it is more appealing than the actual results.
I mean, I've seen some stuff that I'm like, wow, how is that? How does it do that kind of thing? Kind of knowing how, like, I studied AI back in, I'm talking the late 90s, you know, so I've seen it evolve a tremendous amount. And knowing what I knew back then, and if you asked me, was that possible today, I'd be like, no way. But it is very impressive, yes. But you know, as an experienced coder myself, like I said, I've been coding since the 90s. You know, I've seen some of the code that Chat GTP spits out, and none of it is all correct. and you know, and it's because like it really it gets its information from a lot of open source stuff, and there's bugs in those too. You know, and most importantly, you know, it's pretty trivial to say, at least from my perspective, as like I said, I've been developing for 20 years. It's very trivial to say, okay, just build a system that does A, B, C, D, right? However, it is a lot less trivial to design an architecture around something else, something you want to do, right? And so this architecture is another kind of level, right? So ChatGTP can sort of implement like very rudimentary base level execution stuff, but when it comes to designing any kind of architecture, there's no way it can. It's not there yet. You need almost human level intelligence at that point to be able to pull something like that off. So we're not quite there yet. But it's very interesting, the stuff that's coming out of AI. It's very fascinating. I'm very, I guess you could say, attuned to it, because it's a fascinating advancement in humankind, I would say.
Let's see here. All right, so I've got a couple of questions in the Q&A window here. So Randy was asking, so how did I show the executed signals? So I'm not sure exactly what he means. I'm guessing he means like, how do you show the text on the chart? So that's actually a NinjaTrader setting, right? So you go into your data series, and that's something that you turn on within the NinjaTrader chart window there, within the data series window. And it's on the very bottom here, plot executions. So, right, so you just turn that plot executions on. And NinjaTrader will also, as you can see, NinjaTrader shows you backtest results as well. So, all right, so that's one down. Let's see. Angel is asking, so how would you do longs only or shorts only? Yeah, so that would be inside of Bloodhound. So in Bloodhound, we could create, we could add some filtering here so that we only get long signals or short signals. So let's see here. So if I wanted to, let's make a copy of this. And let's rename this here. So I'm just going to give a quick example here. So let's say longs. So these are just the longs. And then I could add there's a number of things I could use, but I'll just use the inverter here. And I don't actually want to invert anything, but I'm just using the enable and disable functions here. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, I think I just saw you click the enable on the short just before you.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I was trying to get to an area where we can see both. There we go. So there we can see both long and shorts. Yeah. And so now I could just turn off the shorts, and now I have longs only. Yeah. So I'm using an inverter to do that, since it has this enable long or enable shorts. So that's a quick, easy way to do that.
And when you're trading live, on the top right of the Blackbird panel on the right side of your screen, there is a way to disable automatically entering short or long.
Yeah, good catch there. So yeah, so you could do that. So when you're back testing, you would have to adjust the trade signals in Bloodhound when you're back testing. But for live trading, yeah, we do have these quick and easy, buttons, so that you can say, okay, long trades only right now for today, or short trades only for, for now. So, so those buttons are for live trading. So.
Justin says, this is way cool. When I'm able, I look forward to trying these products. Very cool. Yeah. Start the 30-day trial. A lot of people feel like that's, they have to do as much homework before they start the trial as possible. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just get started. If you need a couple days at the end, a little extra time, no big deal. The important thing is that you actually start building out your system. So as soon as you can, download it.
Here's a little bit of a technical question. Adrian is asking, can you choose between the different calculate modes? So yeah, this guy's a programmer for sure. The way he wrote his question, that's
that's
a
right.
programmer's terminology right there.
That's the he typed it out like the enumerable. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah. So let's see here. Let's pull up Bloodhound. So let's see. Oh, this is Bloodhound coming through. But the answer is that yeah, Bloodhound is an indicator. So yeah, you can switch the calculate mode for Bloodhound, and the same for Blackbird. So let me go into the strategy. So in the actually, I'll just add a new one here so we can see the properties. Yeah, so both Bloodhound and Blackbird, do have or do obey the NinjaTrader's calculate setting there. So all right, it will change the operation of both Bloodhound and Blackbird, as you would expect. So, yeah. All right. So Jeremy, you got one? You got a question? Or
Ben is just asking about the price of the maintenance fee per year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. So yeah, Keith already alluded to that.
Yeah, it depends on what you own. If there's any doubt in your situation, just contact us. But if you own both products, then the price you gave is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
See, Justin is asking, so is your rule for a loss based on your P&L or what you see on the chart? Your rule for a loss, it actually came from the system here that I was demonstrating here. So yeah, so the stop losses originated, there you go, from this, from this YouTube video. So that's how it started. So yeah, it just said use either the most recent high for a short trade or a recent low price, right, for a long trade. So yeah, that's where those stop losses came from.
Yep.
See what else we got here.
Jose, difference between Blackbird, I'm assuming you meant to type Bloodhound, again, Bloodhound is an indicator and Blackbird is a strategy. So in NinjaTrader, indicators mark up a chart and they indicate things on the chart, whereas a strategy is actually the thing that submits the trades. So together, you kind of need both, right? At least for our system, if you want a full-blown auto trader, that's essentially configurable, like we just showed you. You need both, but to submit the actual orders and perform the trades, and therefore the back test, you do need the strategy, which translates you do need Blackbird.
Yeah.
Although we do include a free, very rudimentary one with Bloodhound called Raven, which doesn't really allow you to do much with the stop losses other than and the profit targets other than say it's set them here.
Yeah, so there's Raven right there. Yeah, that comes
again
free.
is a strategy as well.
Yeah, with Bloodhound there.
Yeah. So hopefully that clears that one up, Jose. On the other side of things, Larry Fox is asking, can it handle non-time charts like ticks and volume, etc.? And so the short answer is yes. You do tick charts, range charts, and actually even custom charts. And we actually sell even a few different of our own bar types as well, that are specifically designed for backtesting. So you just like the indicators, if you've installed custom third-party charts onto your system, Bloodhound and Blackbird will see them and work on them. And not only that, you can actually use multiple timeframes inside of Bloodhound. So in Bloodhound, you can say if you want to look at two different charts at the same time with two different indicators on two different charts, and you want to combine the logic for those two, you can do that as well. Yeah, so there's a little add chart button like that. Yeah. And again, it looks on your system to see what you have installed, right? And you can go ahead and add a bar chart, and then you can start putting what we call solvers under there, which also means like you're hosting indicators under those charts.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I was trying to find the Uniranko just to kind of show a third party bar type, but no, all I have is just the Shark bars installed here. I don't have a third party one. So no.
Yeah, Tyrone is asking, what's the difference between the strategy analyzer and the strategy performance? You can use both. It's just kind of the interface that you're using. Zach just likes to use strategy performance on the chart, but certainly if you like to use a strategy analyzer, I think that one is more, it depends on your workflow really and what you prefer.
Yeah, it's just NinjaTrader's two different ways that you can do back testing. Most people like to, doing it on an individual chart is obviously it simplifies things. It's easier to understand, if you're doing it in the strategy analyzer, really think of the way I think of the strategy analyzer, and maybe this is really a better question for NinjaTrader to answer, but the way I think of the strategy analyzer is it allows you to back test a basket of instruments. So it allows you to do a whole bunch of different instruments all in one go. So whereas obviously the chart, you're just back testing that one instrument that the chart is showing you. But,
and on the other side, CL is asked a pretty good question here about back testing versus historical playback versus replay playback, and you'll get different results. And the answer is you'll most definitely get different results. And basically, it is really up to you in terms of what you desire for accuracy. Because if you're using playback, that's obviously going to be, no, I'm sorry if I'm presuming, it'll be more accurate than just historical, because you're actually simulating the ticks coming in, and then you can see the trades literally playing out in real time almost. But in a historical back testing, basically what NinjaTrader is doing is it's actually doing a bit of a shortcut, right, to do a quicker calculation. So it'll take you longer to get your result and to figure out what your performance is. But the shortcut is that, you got a bar and it's got to figure out where that fill is going to be inside that bar, right? And so there's some algorithms inside of NinjaTrader that affect that. But at the end of the day, it's basically kind of an estimate. Yeah, and so actually, yeah, Zach just pulled up a very detailed documentation on the documentation page, which he's worked really hard on. I basically show you the difference, but the subtle differences between those different methods of back testing. And so the way we showed you today was the quick way, right, which is considered probably the least accurate, but you know, that has some value too, because sometimes you want to quickly find out if something's viable before you put a little bit more time into testing its accuracy.
Yeah, so detail so these are some links to NinjaTrader's documentation to explain some of those backtest discrepancies. So yeah, this is probably the most common one that people will eventually, you know, kind of discover here, you know, the discrepancies between real-time versus backtesting there, or the market replay versus backtest results as well.
Yeah.
So there's some links there to take you to Ninja's documentation, so that where NinjaTrader kind of explains, you know, why there's differences between the two, you know, what is the two different kind of modes of calculating the results, you know, and which would then explain why there's discrepancies between the two.
Yeah. So again, that's the documentation for Blackbird. You scroll down to the very bottom there and you'll see that.
So if you just go to support and then to documentation, and then I just clicked on the big Blackbird button here, right? And that takes you to the intro page, and then just scroll all the way down to the bottom. There we go. Yep.
And there's a video
Basically,
above that, I think, that you recorded as well from a workshop. Yeah. Oh, market
let's
replay
see.
best practices. Okay.
Actually, yeah, this is helpful. So if you're new to backtesting and you're really interested in learning the mechanics of how backtesting works, of how, you know, NinjaTrader and other charting platforms, you know, how they do their backtesting. Yeah, this video here that we did on Futures IO to big mics for those old timers like us. We did this video on Futures IO. So that explains the nuts and bolts of how backtesting works there.
Yeah.
So, but
Adrian's actually asking it's kind of a related question: does Blackbird simulate lag or slippage? And the answer is it's not Blackbird that does that. It's actually the platform. So NinjaTrader actually does that, and you can actually tweak the setting on that of how much slippage you want to simulate.
Yeah. Well, while you're in the strategies window, setting up your strategy, it's these lower three settings down here, right? Let me close this up. So the top ones here, the top ones here are all Blackbird settings. Everything down below is our NinjaTrader settings. Yeah, so one of these, slippage, there you go. So under historical fill processing, there's a slippage setting there that you can put in. So, yeah.
And correct me if you think otherwise, but I always like to think of the quick back test as being like a benchmark, where you know that it's not perfectly accurate, but you're comparing the benchmark that you get to the next one that you get. So you make a tweak, run the exact same test, and compare those two numbers. And that can give you an idea if you're maybe moving in the right direction while you're quickly iterating and coming up with ideas. And then once you feel like you're at a pretty good point, then you can go through the more tedious, slower process of getting a more accurate back test. Would you agree with that, Zach, on counting that as sort of like a benchmark, knowing that it's not technically accurate, but it's helping speed up the testing process?
Yeah.
It depends on the system. So if you have trailing stop losses, right? Obviously your stop losses are trailing tick by tick. So as the market's moving up tick by tick, your stop loss is moving up. And of course, when you're on a historical chart, there is no tick by tick movement. That bar is closed already, right? So you lose that tick by tick incrementing of your stop losses. That is really the major difference of backtesting on historical data versus backtesting on live data or the replay connection. Is, you know, if any part of your system has that tick by tick movement, you know, while a bar is forming, you lose that tick by tick movement incrementation. So that's really what it boils down to. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who trade upon the bar close, which I meet a lot of people who do that, they wait until the bar closes and that's when they make the decision. That's when the backtest results, the quick backtest results, are the most useful.
Yeah. Yeah. So just back testing on a historical chart at least gets you in that ballpark area, gets you really close,
Yeah.
and then when you feel like, okay, I like what I've got. And if you really want to get your backtest results as accurately as possible to like the nearest tick of profit, that is when you would then switch over to using the playback connection right there that NinjaTrader has. And that way you can simulate. The simple way of thinking of the playback is it does historical backtesting as if it was run on live data. So.
Yeah, and actually kind of similar to that question, Adrian sort of expanded on another one saying, hey, well, if I'm running the playbacks at 100 times speed or 500 times speed or max time speed, he's saying there's some reports on the NT forum that there's different results when they should be the same. That's generally results. Yes, you've guessed it right, Adrian. It's because of multi-threading. I'll just say that we've designed Blackbird with as much as possible to be what we call in computer science deterministic when it detects that it's in market replay, meaning that it will forego using threads to submit orders, forego using threads to process background computations when moving the orders around. Instead it'll do it sequentially. And so in theory, deterministic means that it should be the same regardless of what speed you're doing it. Now, I don't know if we've done any formal testing to that effect though. So that's something I won't say we'll guarantee, but nonetheless, given that Blackbird is smart enough to detect what mode it's in. And if it realizes it's in market replay, that I would say for the most part, your results shouldn't be affected by the speed. And that's, again, just the way the architecture was designed for Blackbird to compensate for that. And that's not always the case with other maybe products, other developers, or other strategies that might have been developed differently.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those pros and cons of NinjaTrader 7, which was single threaded, versus NinjaTrader 8, which is multi-threaded. So definitely multi-threading has had far greater advantages over the, versus Ninja 7. So it's definitely a great enhancement that NinjaTrader has added, and all of us NinjaTrader 7 or users have been waiting for a long time. So, but yeah, when you do get into that multi-threading environment, as you found kind of one of the
but like I said,
downsides, but yeah,
Blackbird is designed like it's smart enough to detect if it's in market replay, and it will actually won't use threads to do any of that processing.
So another way of saying that, Jeremy, do you think this is accurate, that basically Blackbird puts itself into a single threaded operating mode?
Yep.
Yeah, right. Which will.
So in like I said, in computer science terminology, that means it's deterministic.
We've had some good technical questions, and we definitely looks like we have some programmers in the crowd today. So let's see. Well, that's it for the Q&A window. Let's see, were there any other questions in the chat window?
Actually, there's a really good one here about running automated and then manually overriding. So absolutely, that's possible. That's definitely a really high demand feature. The ability to switch seamlessly between automated trading and manual trading on the fly. And so, absolutely, Blackbird is equipped to do that.
Yeah, let me put a profit target back in here so we can kind of see here. And there you go. Just put that way out there. Yeah, so I'll just
the web address.
hit the go long there. Yeah, and so you can see you can grab your order flags. And this is something also that no other strategy has that we know of. So Blackbird is the only one that actually has its own order flags so that you can go in and grab those order flags and move them around, as if you were using Ninja's chart trader, right? So that's kind of one of the other things that other strategies don't have, is this ability to show you its own order flags.
Yeah, and if you want to switch back to, say you had a pre-programmed method and how that stop profit target dances around, you can always turn the auto trading back on and go back to where you were before. Yeah, if that's what you like to do.
So,
yeah.
Yep. So we have these secondary panels here, informational panels here. And so this will give you detail information, on the orders here. And so since this stop loss has trailing, if I move it, pull it backwards, you can see it turns off the auto trailing. So you can see the auto trailing says it's been turned off there. And so when you're ready for the auto trailing to turn back on, because obviously, right, if you're moving your stop loss around, if the auto trailing was left on, well, then, the computer would just snap your stop loss right back to where it wants to go. So obviously, you have to turn off the auto trailing when you're manually moving your stop losses around yourself. And then when you're ready, when you feel like the market is, moving in your direction, then whenever you want, you can turn the auto trailing back on right there with this extra informational panel here. We call it the order monitor panel. And like the name implies, this is where you can monitor the state and the status of your various orders there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Larry's asking a pretty interesting question. This is something I remember I considered many years ago as well. Talking about like, can it react quick enough to really quick market moves? We're talking like milli or microseconds. So that's the kind of time frame you're looking at for those hedge fund traders that actually have machines sitting near the exchange or not too far from the exchange. And I will just submit that that's kind of a different level of commitment or different level of trading. So a lot of those firms that have that kind of equipment, they pay $250,000, I think it is a month, for the privilege of having server space close to the exchange, right? And so they have far deeper pockets and are able to they're able to react a lot quicker than any retail trader. And really, I would caution anyone that tries to kind of go up against that sort of what we call, like, what was the term?
The simple
Sorry.
answer is you don't use an off-the-shelf trading
Yeah,
platform like NinjaTrader.
that would
All
be
that
a
stuff
different
is
level of trading.
low level hard-coded stuff,
Yeah.
so it can react in millisecond stuff.
Yeah.
You couldn't use something like TD Ameritrade or Scottrade's trading platform.
There's so much lag in between
that.
your computer and eventually the order and the broker, and then the the clearinghouse and all that stuff, or even the brokers doing on their side. Like you're looking at several milliseconds even right there, which is for some of these firms that if you try to compete on that kind of level is a long time. So really this product is designed again for the retail trader that's more on I would say a day trading type time frame rather than the micro time frame. What they quant traders, I think they're called, or
Yeah.
No, there was another term for that.
Oh, high frequency. High
was
frequency. It's high frequency trading.
High frequency trading. Yeah. So I would not consider this a high frequency trading product per se.
Or platform.
Like
just NinjaTrader in general is not a high frequency.
Yeah, even in the
there is
platform
no
stuff,
platform
NinjaTrader,
out there for high frequency trading.
Yeah.
That is all custom coded with a really fast language as well. So it's used as a really, really fast executing programming language too.
Yeah.
That being said, in you guys work with it every day. Would you consider it to be still a perform well on NinjaTrader, or are there any performance issues that we're aware of? I haven't really heard anybody complaining about
Yeah,
performance issues
most
in a while.
certainly for retail traders needs, it's more than sufficient. You know, obviously to gain any sort of advantage, you know, a lot of our customers do upgrade their computers to more speedier systems with lots of RAM. You know, it's obviously something you always want to do. But yeah, you're going to be limited in terms of if you're trading against that kind of level of trading. But if you're trading against the average retail trader, which is using just kind of manual trading, you know, this is definitely a tremendous leg up.
Kind of like automating your own mouse clicks and your own behaviors, right? Sort of pre-planning what you would like to do if you had instant reaction time yourself on your computer. So however fast you can click, it's definitely going to be at least that fast.
Yeah, I would say, Larry, like I can't really answer that question, you know, because certainly I don't have any personal experience in it. You know, I would, you know, definitely try it out. I've met a friend that was trying to do kind of stuff on a pretty quick level, pretty quick. What we call low level trading software, meaning that it's closer to the actual orders, sort of the actual brokers and exchanges and whatnot. And his first goal was to try to find three-way arbitrage opportunities, and at least he could see them on the screen. And he was using interactive brokers at the time, and he could see the opportunities on his screen for a split second. But oddly enough, every time the orders went through, it's like the opportunity vanished literally, you know. And so he figured in the end it was like there was some kind of delay between the data coming in or something like that, or the broker was taking that difference, you know. So
yeah,
who
IB's
knows?
been known to have
yeah,
I mean, I don't like to slam anybody, but you know, you can look on NinjaTrader's trading forum, and IB has probably the highest complaint
right.
ratio on
Yeah.
NinjaTrader's, you know, support forum as far as data feeds go.
Mm-hmm.
Just you know, various issues, you know. But at the same time, you know, they've opened the door, you know, and they provide data feeds around the world, you know. So again, you know, there is that trade-off, you know, whereas if you're not in the US, you're probably using IB, you know, because they somehow managed to get the licenses and approval in other countries, you know, so other countries can trade the US markets. So,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think comfortably. So Bob Roas, because what kind of realistic time frame are you looking for the retail traders? And I think, you know, even a half second is you know, possible in terms of turnaround time. You know, but anything under that, like 500 milliseconds or less, you're looking at high frequency trading territory at that point, I think. Even that's probably a really, really long time in HFT, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you could still react a hell of a lot quicker than you can with say the human reaction.
Yeah, I think I heard on CNBC one time that high frequency trading is you know, there is no, you know, it's nothing in the Webster's dictionary that you're gonna find it.
Yeah, it's just an industry.
The CME actually does have a technical definition of it, and I think it's something like under 100 milliseconds.
Under 100, yeah, so 1/10 of a second
when you're making various decisions. So
yeah, I mean, if I were just to throw a number out there, I think anything half a second or greater is really acceptable in terms of, and not acceptable, but that's probably where the envelope is in terms of if you're a retail trader using NinjaTrader.
And I believe you need exchange approval to also run those systems.
Yeah, I think it's when you get to really quick,
because they manipulate the market. Yeah, and so the exchanges had to take care of. They actually had to define it so that they could write policies against it and require special approval process, you know, for companies that want to do high frequency trading. So at least that's my understanding from listening to a lot of news at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me get back to a technical question here. So John, a little further up on the chat list here, was asking if the backtest mode box here was using resources here. So by default, the backtest mode is turned off simply so that Blackbird loads up faster, because, obviously, we don't know, Shark Indicators never knows how much data somebody might have on their chart. And so, if you've got, 200,000 bars on your chart, which is pretty easy to do, if you've got several months of data, then if you're backtesting that, obviously things are going to, the backtesting has to be done first before Blackbird can actually load up and get ready, and so not everybody needs those backtest results every single time. So we turned it off by default so that Blackbird can load up and be ready for live trading, whenever you want there. So, yeah. And as far as it using resources, I don't know, Jeremy, I don't know of any resources that backtesting uses other than it does create
processor, yeah,
a database entry. So it does fill Ninja's database up. And once Ninja's database gets to a certain point, obviously it depends on your computer system, your CPU and your hard drive. But once that database gets to a certain size, then there is some lag within NinjaTrader because it's taking Ninja longer to add an entry and read an entry, which has to be done when either you're backtesting and live trading. So I have noticed myself personally in live trading, a couple of times throughout the year, that live trading, there would be this huge delay before things would show up on the chart. And then I found out from NinjaTrader support, I just needed to clean out my database, wipe out, all that old trade data and backtest data. And as soon as I did that, removed all the entries out of the database, then things were, running normally again instantly. So that's the only thing I know of, is that backtesting does fill up that database and makes it larger and larger, and you do need to clean it out from time to time. So yeah, other than that, I don't know, Jeremy, you know of any resources that might be used?
I mean, like mostly RAM, I suppose.
Yeah, RAM.
I mean, if Sale's asking like how much RAM, like he's got a machine with 16 gigabytes, how many indicators and whatnot. It really depends a lot on those indicators, those other indicators that use memory too. I really can't comment on it, but and it also depends on how many instances of Bloodhound you're running. I mean, I think I've been running. I would say 32 gigabytes is a pretty comfortable place to be if you're looking at
extra comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is really a question for NinjaTrader. We're just kind of guessing based on our length of experience with NinjaTrader. So I did read I think in the recent update of NinjaTrader, I think with release 27, that they did remove something with the RAM usage. So basically the way I read it, it sounded like NinjaTrader opened itself up to just use as much RAM as it needs. Whereas in older versions, usually when you got to somewhere around 9-10 gigabytes of RAM usage, I think, again, it depends on your hardware. Some people have seen, lower RAM usage where NinjaTrader basically gets into trouble and it becomes unstable. I have seen typically around 9 and 10 gigabytes from my hardware, that it becomes unstable. So it sounds like NinjaTrader has kind of removed that to help optimize the speed of the platform, but also keeping in line with hardware as well. Basically, most trading computers these days are probably coming with a minimum of 16 gigs of RAM, if not 32. So they are keeping up with innovations within the computer hardware.
I would say in general, CL, you probably best advice to go ahead and get 32 gigs if you can. You probably won't have any problems with there, but 16, I'm not sure. It depends a lot on kind of the other indicators that you're running as well. So certainly if you're finding things slowing down on you,
and other programs, like if you have maybe Thinkorswim open, then you'll
or
want to
web
have some RAM
browser or
for
something like
that.
that.
Yeah, so 32 gigs would give you plenty of RAM for other programs that you might be, using throughout the day along with NinjaTrader. So
okay, he sounds like he's okay. And Bob Roas asked the question. Actually, guys, like Bob has been with a customer of ours since the very beginning, back in 2012, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
And
one of the early adopters.
I think I see his name pretty much every time, every webinar we've run. So he's definitely one of our most loyal customers over the years. So very grateful for that, Bob. That's amazing. You've definitely seen us grow and evolve over time. And just looking back on my own life, how much it's changed over 10 years. it's quite a long time.
Going from Ninja 6.5 to Ninja 8.
That's right.
It's good to see NinjaTrader growing.
So I hope we answered your question there. Realistic time frame or bar size. Like I said, pretty much any of the bar types that are inside of NinjaTrader, even the 1 second bar is appropriate for retail traders. So but anything kind of below that, and I think that's when you're starting to cross a threshold that's probably.
Well, I think where a lot of people are finding fast timeframes problematic is, again, the delay through the internet, and also the delay through your broker. So you guys, I do have a
20 to 100 milliseconds right there, just on the communication there, and then you're looking at your broker itself submitting the orders to the exchange.
Your broker approving it and then passing it on to the exchange.
And you have no idea how long that bridge could be as well.
There's a lot of moving parts in the middle.
So I believe it's this image here. Again, this is the Blackbird page. Let me scroll up to the top here, right? So this is the Blackbird introduction page. And there is a brief summary explanation here. So down at the bottom of the page near the backtesting, there is in this, what do strategies actually do? It kind of provides a summary of the communication between a strategy to NinjaTrader, and it also includes from NinjaTrader to your broker. So it kind of shows you the various points, the various players at which your orders have to pass through before it actually gets to the exchange, and then all those players that it has to pass through to get back to you. So you got to realize there's this long communication path that your order has to go through to get from Blackbird, or any NinjaTrader strategy all the way to the exchange. And
actually, Bob's come up with a little. He's mentioned there's a tool called Ping Plotter. It helps you measure the internet lag. I'm assuming you probably would ping your broker, maybe. I'm not sure.
I would doubt brokers and the exchange would allow that, because they don't want their servers, flooded, because that could easily cause a denial of service attack. So you're not going to be able to ping your broker and ping through.
Well,
that's basically
maybe
just a black
their
hole.
web servers, but probably not their trading servers. I'm not sure. It's something to experiment about it. But basically, I think if you're kind of delving in that kind of Wild West, that's the high frequency trading area below 500 milliseconds or less. I would submit that these aren't quite the right tools for you. This is again targeted more for retail traders.
More swing or kind of simple scalping systems.
Which there's plenty of ways to make money and find an edge still, right? So You know, you can always just kind of let those firms play in that realm, and then, you know, just play in a different sandbox, right? So,
And, you know, as usual through life, you know, the devil's always in the details. So if you're going to run that ping plotter, you would need to run it when the market went crazy, like a couple of days ago during the Fed announcement, right? And the market was just all over the place. That's when you need to run that ping plotter, right? Because that's usually where you're going to get into trouble, you know, with things. So that, yeah, you know, so you really, that's when your system and the internet is under the most stress, is during, like, you know, FOMC meetings, you know, or Fed announcements and things like that, right? That's where the rubber meets the road, is on those, those news events. So
yeah. Larry's asking, where's the NinjaTrader platform located? I think it's Denver. I'm not sure. Is that right?
Last I remember, looking years ago, was Denver. So again, now a NinjaTrader support question, guys. So
yeah, that's definitely not a question for us.
Kind of guessing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess there's a kind of one more thing about the synchronization, or rather, John was saying he's looking over the literature for the synchronizing the orders. I think maybe if you have a specific question about that, John, this sounds pretty technical, so maybe just reach out to support if you're looking for an answer for that one. Or perhaps that could be answered in a workshop. I'm not sure.
Sorry, I was reading Bob's follow-up here.
Yeah.
So you're looking at John's synchronizing.
John, talking about this synchronizing of orders. I think
yeah,
that's
he probably got that from my workshop, where that was something that you had started back before Bloodhound version 2, where one of the enhancement work items for Blackbird was to be able to in the trailing roles, being able to select, and let me close all this out here, another order as a price input. So that way you could synchronize stop losses here. Yeah, so like,
okay,
for example,
right.
That was something that you had started. It's just a matter of getting back to, once you get back around to working on Blackbird, finishing that new enhancement there. Yeah, so like on the price panel here, one of the options, instead of bar prices, I don't think we don't know exactly how this is going to be displayed here, but but just using this as an example, right? You can see you have all the bar prices available, and at some point we're going to add order prices as well, the various order prices. So you could select the stop loss order for order set A, and that way the stop loss for B would synchronize itself with the stop loss for A and keep those two tightly together.
Yeah, is that not in this version? Other order price? Or am I getting confused here?
No. There was a, last I remember.
Well, click on other order price for a second.
There was a loop back issue that you had to resolve. There was a loop back issue that you had to resolve. Like, what if you select an order that doesn't exist? Then what do you do? Right? Just, that opens up a whole can of worms, where if you're selecting an order, what happens if that order no longer exists, or what if the menu, sounds ridiculous, but what if the interface allowed you to select its own self? You can't select your own self,
so, circular
things like
references
that,
stuff.
So definitely.
Yeah, sometimes the product there's just so many features in there that even though I'm the one mainly doing this, I forget what's been done and what's been still in the middle of being worked on. So
so that's probably one of the hardest things that Jeremy has to overthink about, is making sure that we don't that that you can't put in a circular reference, which then kills any program that has a circular reference will just kill itself. So, working out those limitations is one of the harder jobs as a computer, engineer to work that out. No.
I'll say it's actually not that hard, but you can make it sound like it is. But
well, yeah, in this case, yeah. So thankfully, so yeah, just loosely, it's the goal is, there we go. The goal is that once we're done with the round of Bloodhound work items, then Jeremy will switch back over to Blackbird and wrap up a bunch of cool new things that he started. I had to put on
hold for a bit. Yeah. We did actually have a fair bit of things that kind of, I would say, are like 80% implemented for Blackbird that have been just sort of sitting there while we've been busy on working on Bloodhound. So sometimes we swap between the two, depending on which is the kind of the higher priority at the time. So, but yeah, I think this is a pretty good spot to probably wrap up here.
Yeah, we're really beginning to go off into the weeds.
Yeah,
some technical
just kind of like our meetings sometimes.
Maybe we shouldn't be answering. But they are fun questions.
I'll just put my screen back up here real quick here, and again, I'm just going to put our webpage. Let's get the Microsoft stuff out of there. Hang on a sec. Shark indicators. Okay, so yeah, again, feel free to get a hold of us at our webpage, and like I said, if you want to just get a hold of the templates and the files that Zach just put together during this demonstration, just go to sharkindicators.com/backtest. That should take you to this page. You can put your email in, and we'll notify you through email as soon as those are ready. Okay.
And Jeremy, should I mention the bundle that we're doing that we talked about?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so I know several of you are mentioned that you're brand new here. So if you happen to decide to buy the bundle, Bloodhound and Blackbird, during February, we are giving away the Blackbird template packs for free. So it's about a $400 value. So certainly, I wouldn't want you to make the decision until you're ready. But if you're ready before the end of February, that is sort of an extra little add-on that you get for free with it. These are meant to be a starting point. They're unlocked template packs that follow a certain theme that we've taken from real world systems and converted them into Blackbird packs. So it's the Blackbird ones that are on offer this month. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that in case you're already interested. Definitely a good way to kind of make that just a little better for you.
Yeah. So again, they're pre-made templates. They'll help you get what do you call it? Like hit the ground running. You can use those templates as a starting point for a lot of your own trade systems. So, okay. All right. Other than that, I guess we'll sign off here. And I guess again, thank you for everybody for attending, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, I hope this was educational as well. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Till next time.
Right. Have a good day.
Bye-bye, guys.